Hello and welcome to the 597th dev update. I'm just kidding. I just made that number up. I'm QX, and with me we have a special guest tonight joining us, Liquid from THZFM. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing well, QX. Thanks for the intro.
Should we call you
Yeah,
Liquid? What should we call you?
my name's Mike, but yeah, Liquid Phase is what I'm known on Discord and Telegram and all the different networks, and as a DJ and blah blah blah.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Joe rugged me, and CW rug Joe. This is just a sequence of rugs going on here. I'll probably rug you, and maybe you'll have to do it by yourself. You know, it's just how it works here.
It's okay. I actually have hardwood floors,
Oh,
so
perfect. You're prepped. You're ready to
I'm
go.
base layer, baby.
Awesome. All right. So typically how it works, Mike, is we try to talk about something that's current and I think the main thing that's current right now is the little bit of a pump we've had recently. I think 20
Mhm.
some percent. I think there's maybe too much speculation to chat about that, even though people want to
That's
hear good stuff about that. But I think while you're here, I think we should take that opportunity to talk about all the cool stuff you've been doing with your project. How's that sound?
sure. Yeah. Sounds good because we're actually getting a lot of stuff ready right now for our MVP launch, which uh, I've pretty much slated for December. So
What?
yeah, I guess for the
Why don't you start with what the heck it is? For
yeah,
those
yeah.
people not following along, let's start with basics.
For those who don't know what terahertz is, THC.FM started as Swamp.audio, and that was about a year ago in the Ergo ecosystem. We started our IDO with ErgoPad. We're a decentralized music publishing platform, and the goal behind what we're doing is to develop layer one solutions for music publishing and for media publishing in general. And the site that we're building is also going to be a social network for events, music, all sorts of different venues and musicians and content creators of valuable content, we'll call it, instead of meme content, and give them the availability to come together and build their different projects together with decentralized tools, and then also offer them some candy on top of that with our own service offering. So yeah, it's going to be like a similar to, I guess if any musicians are listening right now, the base offering is going to be similar to Bandcamp, but with smart contracts.
So essentially, where you're also in full control of your rights and your music as well.
So yeah, we're there's a sort of paradigm that we're launching, which is a sort of parallel paradigm to how the standard model of music distribution works. And so we are offering ways to encrypt your music, to protect it, to have it on blockchain and IPFS, to ways to decrypt it in the front end, ways to distribute those decryption keys to your customers, and just overall trying to kind of give musicians a way to use NFTs, which isn't the NFT marketplace kind of hype that is been built around the crypto space. Because a lot of musicians don't buy into that. They see it as sort of like a scam or some money laundering thing, and B, even if they are interested, as you know, as a musician, generally speaking, a musical work, you can't just, it's not like an image generator thing where you can pump out 1,000 versions of an idea and then have your NFT collection. It's like you spent a lot of time on that song and you really want it to be appreciated. And if you're going to sell it to just one person ever, it's like, well, 50 grand at least or something. And it's, most people aren't going to see the value in that from a consuming standpoint. So just, offering different ways to kind of work with NFTs in the actual media space, but also we are going to have an actual NFT marketplace for audio NFTs as well, but in a slightly different way than I think people are expecting. And I think that's going to be something that's I'm kind of holding that part close to chest right now, because it is going to be a very unique part of the launch offering.
All right, so I'm gonna take a stab at this, Mike. You fill me in where I'm wrong. I'm just going to go for a high level as a musician, what it looks like for me. All right?
Sure.
All right. Let's see how much I can butcher this. So, in general terms, a musician onboards onto your site. They
Hmm.
take their digital master, their main recording that they're ready to create copies from, or their full mix, ready to go. They take that, they put that onto IPFS via an NFT mint blockchain. That
Hmm.
is encrypted so that only that person owns it, can listen to it, and utilize it. Nobody else can touch that digital master, essentially, besides the person that owns those keys. Then, when they want to distribute the music, if they want to distribute parts of that music to more than one person as copies, they can then master a lower bitrate MP3 from that and distribute that on IPFS again via the blockchain, minting an NFT for that. Those can
Yes.
reside in people's wallets, and those can be free for anybody essentially to listen to. So I could jump on your wallet and put it into your player on THC and listen to everything on your thing, kind of like a playlist back in the old days of the dorms where I'd see Network Neighborhood on Windows 95, 98 and see my buddy's music folder and drop the music folder into Winamp and be able to play his whole kind of unofficial playlist. So that kind of same feeling goes for that. How close am I? Is that close?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty concise description of one avenue of how to use the platform. And the cool thing about how the smart contracts and how the system with NFTs and tokenization is laid out is that it doesn't stop at just the full master mix. We're talking constituent parts as well. So if you're making drum loops, if you're making samples based upon your synthesizer, if you're recording raindrops, we can tokenize that specific thing as a master, and then you can retain rights over your samples, and then we can put it into the contract system so that the actual samples that were used in a song can all be part of the tokenized rewards process, the royalties process. So it's not just finished music that I want to create this marketplace for. It's actually the pieces and parts as well, and not just the sound samples, but even the software instruments that developers are making. People don't understand like the depth of which I've planned the system has even got repositories for similar to GitHub, so that you can upload software that you are working on and revision control it. And so that is part of the later on offering. It's not going to be part of the MVP launch to get that part launched. But the idea is to create a marketplace for creators to work with each other, but also to distribute their work to the people that are consuming it via whatever means they're consuming it.
So, Mike, what I'm hearing is that, there was something said today about Kushti. Kushti said something maybe a couple days ago. There was a quote posted somewhere that said something like, if code and machines can take over, like the financial sector and network, or make those decisions and do those kind of human programming things that we do right now, then there must be something more to what we're doing as humans to bring something else to the table beyond that, essentially. So what I'm hearing you say here, in kind of not retrospect, but in relation to that, is that you're replacing a lot of these middlemen and these people just putting rubber stamps on things and collecting money and fees from artists. You're replacing these guys with smart contracts and code where they don't need to exist, where an artist can just go to your site, use a code that's there, and be a full distributor of their own and be in full control of their own music.
Right, but also offer them the availability to run it in a decentralized way to where they don't need to visit thc.fm. They could go to GitHub, download our front end, and run it as a local version. And purely if they don't even want to connect to our database, because we as thc.fm are going to obviously host our own database of users, because not every musician that we're going to have on the platform is going to be a crypto user. We offer PayPal and Venmo as a payout type for people who are regular Joe musicians who don't want to deal with the crypto space. Maybe that's what it takes to get them on the platform and trying it and trying crypto for the first time, right? But yeah, so the idea is to give the independent musicians full control over their distribution process and their highest resolution work. Explain to them that their highest resolution work is sort of like it's the jewel of the temple. You should not sell that. You should probably pull onto it. And if you are going to sell it as the NFT version of it, it's going to be probably for a lot of money, because it's worth it. But so backtracking a little bit, just tools, right? We're developing a lot of tools to both integrate with and develop on top of blockchain for existing frameworks of media publishing, but it also opens up so much, because of the way that the UTXO blockchain system works, it opens up so many avenues for automation and automated systems with smart contracts, and a mixture of that plus open API systems, and you've got a system that can operate with very minimal overhead. And by minimal overhead, I mean me and a very small team as the main core, and it can continue to work that way, so long as the blockchain is secure and robust.
It's all right. If something happens, we can just roll back the blockchain, right?
Yeah, we might need to call in some help on that one.
From some other chains that we know about, right? So tell me about the other facet of it, where you're talking about ticketing events and event management for that kind of thing. Give me the general overview of how that works for both the customer and the person giving the concert.
Well, full disclaimer, the event ticketing part hasn't been fully fleshed out yet on the back end, so that's probably going to not be part of the MVP launch. It's probably going to be iteration 2, because there are some event ticketing sort of solutions that have come out on Ergo from the Ergo hack that I want to check out and see if I don't want to reinvent the wheel.
Right, Lilium's group came out with it. Yep, MGPy and LGD. Yep.
Correct. So I want to check that out and see if it's usable, integratable, because it would just save me so much time. I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and it would also support other ecosystem projects. So yeah, that's iteration 2. But the idea is that a venue can also join the website. There's user roles for artists, listeners, labels, venues,
caterers, all that kind of anything that goes along with a whole entire venue.
Basically, you could sign up as one of these types of users, and based upon your type of, you could be a user that is a label, but also you throw events, and you're also owner of a venue, but you also are an artist, but you also manage artists. So there's a lot to kind of set up there in terms of the hierarchical layout of the structure. But the idea is that to give everybody who has their puzzle piece a role to play on the platform, so that you don't have to have 3 tabs open going to Event Master or Ticketing Master and this website for social. Because when we're done, we have full email marketing campaign built into the platform. We have full text messaging campaign stuff built into the platform. The idea is just to build tools so that the musician, the fan, the venue, everybody who's involved in the scene does not need to be on disparate platform to be doing what they're doing. They can all connect on the same platform, whether it's a decentralized way or connecting to our slightly centralized database, which is all open source, so they can all audit how it works and stuff.
So how do you essentially amplify that? Where if I'm an artist, I don't want to see all the stuff for the venue presenting at me when I'm in my panel or my dashboard. Or if I'm the venue, I don't want to see all the other stuff for that kind of complexity. Do you have custom dashboards that will show different things to different users, and depending on how they interact with your site?
The dashboard I'm putting a lot of work into that to make it very friendly, but also extremely powerful, because I think that's a weird balance that's kind of hard to meet in today's app world, is something that's very utilitarian, but also looks and feels good and is kind of intuitive to use, because that's one of the major things about this platform that's going to make it or break it at the beginning, is how easy it is for non-crypto, non-technical people to upload a song and to start an event and stuff. So the UI is key there. And the user dashboard, not only does it have to talk about your performance of your sales if you are selling stuff, it has to talk about statistics from event tickets, how many people RSVP'd. It has to talk about so many different little things which tie into so many different parts of the API that it's a challenge, no lie, to actually get it laid out. Every time I put it out on a screen, I look at it, I'm like, that doesn't feel quite right. So I do a lot of tweaking with it, which is why the front end has taken so long to get done. But it's going to be a pretty strong, I think, offering. And I'm going to focus on at the beginning. I think doing a lot of walkthrough experiences, which is sort of like you click the add track or add release button, and it's sort of, instead of a form you meet, it's sort of like one question at a time. Is this blank? What do you call this? Blank. What's your name? Blank. And then walking people through it. I'm feeling like that might be a little too slow for some people, so we can offer an advanced mode and a sort of walkthrough mode. So these are the kind of things I have to consider before launch. And it's actually more difficult than the technical part of it, is figuring out how people are going to break it, right? But yeah, so we're almost there. It's getting exciting for me. And the user dashboard part is going to be, I think, super clutch, because in all of my previews, you can't see any of that stuff, all the user dashboard stuff. But there's what I call the Omni bar. So if you're a logged in user, there's going to be a persistent sort of toolbar at the top of the website that's sort of like a file, utilities, view, like menu, like at the top of your Mac or PC. And it's going to be relevant to system things that you can do, like based upon your roles. So if you're a label, there's going to be a tab at the top to label management menu, right, and things of that nature. I also designed the website with keyboard only users in mind. So there's actually a lot of shortcut keys that I need to make documentation for, so that you can browse and navigate the website purely based on keyboard commands and control.
We know you're a fan of documentation, Mike.
Not at all.
So
building a plane in the air, you don't get a chance to write out the schematics for it at the same time. You just build the plane and hope that you don't crash the damn thing.
So anybody that wants to follow you, you do an amazing job of just kind of free speaking into your Telegram channel about what you're doing that day and what you've updated. It's great. I'll go in and read it and catch up after a couple days at a time.
Yeah.
That's nice to see. You also have a rather robust liquidity pool on Spectrum for anybody interested in supporting the project or wanting to buy into the project as well. So that's the THZ token. Pretty cool.
Yeah, and that token's going to be used for staking later on the platform. So staking to certain events or artists or types of things. So if you want to put into the overall events pool, get sort of returns on your investment from their profits from throwing events. The idea is just to give new financial models to existing things, because we can't expect a bunch of people at a club to adopt to crypto. We kind of need to adopt to them a little bit.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, well, that's awesome. Let's you want to jump into the dev update?
Rock on. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, I'll start off with Kobe Celador. ErgoNode got into, shows a GitHub trying to figure out how to optimize with offset for the request to the wallet store, and they are stuck refactoring last week using a new approach to it for ErgoNode. Anybody interested in running ErgoNodes, there's a really easy thing that Aberg wrote called Satirgo Wallet. It's a full node wallet, super easy. It's like, what, 3 or 4 clicks, Mike, to get that thing running? It's awesome.
It's actually a pretty nice wallet. Now the user interface is a lot better than it was when I first picked it up.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, it's come a long way. So I guess I'll take this one, right?
Yep.
So Nautilus, one of my favorite products in the Ergo ecosystem. We got Fleet SDK, which is their front-end library for building transactions. They got blockchain providers. They added the Streamboxes method to the GraphQL chain provider. They added mempool-aware operations to the GraphQL chain provider, and they added TypeScript docs for the API. So that's good to see. So they're just adding some improvements, and some documentation is always good. Ergo Meta, improved contract metadata schema. Wow, that's a tongue twister. Switch from Dino to Bun.js runtime. I'm not familiar with Ergo Meta. I'll have to look into that later. Machine of Finance added initial settings box contract and off-chain code. Those guys are crushing it. They're always so busy.
Yeah, I think people, what's it called? When people that aren't devs don't realize how amazing, Fleet SDK and those kind of easily accessible things, right? Is it Nemo Nemo's working on essentially a method where you don't even need to touch any of the base level Ergo coding where you can just use like Java to interact with the entire chain.
Yeah, that would be great. And I could summarize it for non-technical people in two words or two sentences basically. Like if without Fleet SDK, you need to install like a whole bunch of server stuff on top of whatever transaction stuff you're building. But with Fleet SDK, all you need is Fleet SDK, and you can just have your front end talk to Ergo. So it makes it a lot easier to talk to Ergo.
Yeah, super valuable. We've got Kushti, Ergo Protocol Research and Development, continuing subblocks code and corresponding block transactions, propagation via compact block, shaping, PDP logic now. We'll start EIP after. Oh, that should be a fun EIP to read. Organizing 6.0 issues in Sigma, retargeting some issues for 5.x or 6.x, polishing side chains white paper. So I imagine that's for weak blocks, perhaps. We got ChainCash, done re-redemption against early reserve, fixed free spending issue and note contract, now starting to improve writing and do new presentations. ChainCash is a pretty cool concept for those who aren't up to date on it. Kushti's got a pretty good explanation on his GitHub, so I suggest if you're a little shady on it or shaky on it, don't know what it is, just type in GitHub ChainCash Kushti, and the first two paragraphs will give you a great idea of what actually it is. It's not a separate chain like somebody asked in chat the other day. It's on Ergo. It could be on any chain, but this is on Ergo. Dexy, backend framework for modified Spectrum UI updates. Testnet tokens reissued and contracts redeployed. Going to deploy tracking contracts to mainnet after another round of reviewing. So that'll be cool. Can't wait for Dexy to come out, see what gold, two stable devices are going to be looking like on Ergo. That'll be fun.
It's a fun little experiment. It'll be fun to see how it unfolds, like you said. So we got Luivatra with Paideia beta. Guess what? More UI bug fixes. Oh, don't I know it, brother? Don't I know it? Preparing for the public beta. Plan to open on the 20th this month. That is fantastic to see. Personally, I want to use Paideia when it launches. Crux. We got minor UI fixes. We got endpoints for stake positions, LP positions, and vesting positions. Once finished with the above tasks, I'm starting to prepare Paideia for MVP, updating contracts and off-chain code where needed. So that'll be nice to see Crux kind of flush out too, to see it become more of a complete product.
And it's funny. Once in a while I'd pop on Crux and check out my portfolio, but not as I've probably checked out my portfolio more in the last 2 days with the pump than I have in the entire ever since I've had access to Crux. So it's pretty funny how that works out.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Spectrum. Explorer, testnet mainnet instance maintenance. Spectrum Network, working on end-to-end tests for our on-chain vault implementation. It manages on-chain assets, import-export of value across Spectrum's network boundaries. And on Spectrum DEX, working on multi-platform off-chain library for Spectrum DEX with native support for Spectrum Bloom. I need to read more up on Spectrum Bloom, but the concept's pretty damn cool, from what I understand, shallowly, I guess. So yeah, super neat. All right, Kushti asks for anybody if they need any help. Colby responds. Let's see. Oh, look at. Oh my gosh, it's your turn too. Perfect.
Would you look at that? All right, terahertz.fm.
It's almost like you knew you were going to be here tonight.
It's almost like you knew, sir. You anti-rugged me. All right, so I know this one pretty well. So basically, with Terahertz, we have smart contracts, and all of our smart contracts have been testing over the past 2 months, trying to get our front end with Fleet SDK, talking to our smart contracts properly. All that's been tested now. So now we're working on our front end, and that's basically the update. But what I told you earlier about the DDM and DDT workflow, that is also been tested and working with the encryption keys for AES encryption on the files going to IPFS. And then what I did was I took my idea for how to distribute the decryption keys in a secure way with Sigma protocols, and I proposed an EIP 44 for the encrypted NFT standard. So what this is a way for the person who's encrypting the NFT to prove at the time of NFT minting that they have the decryption keys for that unit. And if they can, then the smart contract will allow a output box to be made that we call Truthy. And the Truthy output box is basically a proof of the person who creating the box having the decryption key without actually showing anyone the key. So it's allows the person who is maybe buying the encrypted NFT to verify that the person who listed it is the person who owns the decryption keys for it. And then has a lot of other ways to be used as well. But that's just sort of the idea for EIP44. It sort of follows along to using the blockchain as a prover object in the Sigma protocol, but it just adds a layer of using NFTs and the output box as a sort of receipt of mint, right?
That is neat. Is that your first?
But yeah, so
that
other than that, just waiting for the MVP launch, December.
Is that your first EIP?
Yes, sir.
Was 44 the next available number, or did you just
I know,
skip
right?
anything?
It's a wave file. It's the next available number, and I grabbed it because I was like 44 kilohertz is
Yeah.
the wave file standard.
That's awesome. Very cool. Let's see what else we have. We got a lot of chatter in dev chat this week. Wow, a lot of chatter. Okay, we have Grifa for ErgOne. We decided to change the voting for content period for the first to the last day of each month. It was too complicated until now. All the front end and back end modification will be done next week, so it will be active in November. To incentivize users to create content even if they don't own any ErgOne tokens, all users sign up plus Ergo address registered will automatically have at least 1 point to submit a link to the protocol, but 0 free point for votes in order to avoid cheaters, of course. Then if the users create good content and receive votes from other users, they'll start to win some rewards at the beginning of the following month. October rewards will be distributed next week. The TX is built automatically, but we want to validate its signature during the next 3 months to be sure everything's okay. They use ErgPi. Yay for ErgPi! I exclusively use ErgPi. I love it. We continue improving UX with better access to the contents. In parallel, we are building a script to consolidate the user's virality scores and optimize the TX for rewards distribution. It will be okay for October 5th, rewards distribution date. For next month, the first rewards halving will start. A milestone in the development of POCOP, proof of, what's it stand for? Proof of, content of, gosh, I gotta look this up while you're talking next. Rewards will increase from 5,000 to 2,500. ErgOne for all users of our app, ErgOne.io. I believe they mean decrease from 5,000 to 2,500. So it's essentially a halving. We strongly encourage all members of the ecosystem to use our app. POCOP is a virtuous circle. The more people use it, the more the Ergo hashtag will spread on all social networks, the more Ergo will be engraved into people's minds. It's a teamwork. Thanks for your attention. So POCOP is ErgOne, for those of you that don't know, it's been doing a great job. Sigma Knots teamed up with them for an event maybe 4, 5, 6 months ago. Essentially, if you go to their site, you register your Twitter handle, your X handle, and your address, and then you go and you hammer Twitter with informational things about Ergo, with the hashtag. They automatically scan Twitter, and you get ranked, and you get an amount of points for that, and then you get distributed the ErgOne token based on how many of your points you have. And you can hold that ErgOne token, hopefully, and mature with the company and grow with the company there. I mean, you're free to do whatever you want at that point, but super great concept for a rewards-based social outreach thing, which is what we're all about. So ErgOne's really cool. I'm registered on it, although it's on my other Twitter account, which I don't use much because I'm always trying to do the main Ergo account, unfortunately.
My other Twitter account is a Mercedes.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What do we have? This is not a dev update.
Yeah, that looks more chatter. Here we go.
Here we go. Death Grips on.
Death grips on is how I think it's death grips on, but I think we could tomato. Analog Ergo atomic swaps, automatic refunds completed for Ergo testnet and Sepolia EVM testnet atomic swap. Fix the bugs with the lock time checking, and planning to work on improving UI and creating user configuration options. Is a really cool project. I think it's kind of underspoken right now, and maybe people don't understand what it's for, but it's pretty awesome. People do your own research.
All right, let's see. Next.
You're muted.
Yep, I know. It's trying to trick you, as Dan would say. ChainCash by SoySora. I've been working on an off-chain software, command line interface, database note acceptance, Predictates, config, etc. Also working on Boolean to byte, Ergo script operation. Let's see what else we have. It's good. It's good to see this much chatter in between everybody's dev update. That's what this is about. Apologies if we missed something. We're trying to sort this out on the fly here. Kushti. I think we're on 5.9 now. I think we're there.
Yeah, we're pretty much done. I think there may have been like one late update, but I don't even know. It looks like we pretty much hit it. So
I think we did. Let me switch to my other view. I forgot to switch to my my 3-up view until the second thing, so people are gonna have to live with that because I'm not re-recording it. Sorry, everybody. But I did look up proof. It stands for Proof of Commitment Protocol, which is pretty neat. Play on that whole thing for ErgOne. And their site is, let's see, where is it? ErgOne.io if you want any more info on that kind of thing. All right, well, that was fun, Mike. I appreciate you joining me.
yeah, anytime. I know that people be rugging, so I'm over here with
People
hardwood
be rugging.
floor.
People be rugging. I haven't given Joe the login for YouTube, so I think we're safe for a while. So what's on your schedule for this week, Mike?
Yeah, so this week I've got a lot of just UI stuff to hammer out. So what I'm doing is because when you build a project and it's just you building it, you don't have to like explain it to anybody or make it look pretty. So a lot of my code is really messy and just makes a lot of sense. It works, but it can do a lot of cleanup. So that's what I'm doing right now is I'm cleaning up the code, putting a lot of documentation in it, and putting some tutorials together because I'm planning on onboarding some help either in the new dev environment, in the new dev area and in the content management, like helping me run like promotions and various things. So I'm kind of making the platform easier to use from people coming in so that I don't have to hold a bunch of hands running through code and stuff.
That would be helpful, that's for sure. Nothing like spending 2 weeks of your time training somebody when if you had written neatly or had some good documentation, it would be a lot less work on that part. Good thinking, Mike.
Document once, explain never.
Yep, exactly. All right, everybody. Hope you have a good week. Exciting little, I'm not part of the Ergo Foundation, so I'm happy to say that I can say it's nice to see this little PAMP for Ergo. A 21% increase. Hot damn. Really good to see. Makes you we're here for the tech. We're here for the price as well. Can't say that we're not. So super cool.
I mean, it is nice to see it. It's from my perspective, not even as an investor. From my perspective, as I'm building something on this platform, I want to bring value to my users.
Exactly.
It's nice to see value coming into the ecosystem.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, most of the eyes out there are looking at that to come in. So the idea is that if we become attractive, at least in that matter, for people coming in, that'll attract more people coming in, and then they'll see what Ergo's about and the mission that it's on, and hopefully stick for that. So yes, it's a win-win for everybody in that matter.
Well, after this dev update, they're sure to be attracted to Ergo.
Yes, I think so. They're going to want to come just to meet you.
I was talking about our dynamic QX. We have chemistry.
Oh, we do. We had tons of chemistry in Vegas together, didn't we?
No comment. What stays in Vegas, what happens there stays there.
It looks like we have a DM from HQ in chat. He must have missed the dev update. He says, "Don't forget to mention the broadcast bot and the lottery bot, and name me 4 times at least. Thank you." So we got
HQ.
there we go. We got to inflate his ego a little bit. He's married, so he just got married a couple months ago, so he's probably getting beat down pretty hard lately. That'd be on par for HQ. So yeah, HQ built a broadcast bot that essentially, depending on how trustworthy you are, I guess, in the ecosystem, he'll give you access to it, and you DM the bot, and it'll pump it out to how many ever channels he has access or has convinced somebody to add his bot to the channel. So if we can, something like, let's say there's an emergency, like everybody pull your liquidity from HODLerg right now. We should do that. That's a great idea. That should be the first test of the emergency system. Say, Crass has found a vulnerability in hodler again. Let's pull all our liquidity and test it out. So that's the announcement thing he has, and I think he announced a while ago as well that he's got the lottery bot as well, or maybe that's different from his betting bot. I don't know. We'll see. He should have come on and done a dev update in text. You know, this is as good as he's going to get for us winging this from the cuff. All right, everybody. I hope you have a nice night. You're muted, Mike, or else maybe I cut your audio.
I said have a nice night, bud.
All right, you too, everybody. Ciao.
Bye, Ergo fam.